There have been some questions lately on Bushcraft USA and just questions in general on Firesteel, and I know there's a lot of people out there that buy Firesteels and put them in their kits, but as with anything in your kit, you want to be sure you know how to use it. To start off with, I always like to have a nice solid platform to build my fire on, especially when I'm striking a Firesteel. Because of the way I do this, I put my Firesteel right on my tinder. I need something good and solid. This is a piece of cottonwood bark that I just flattened out a little bit, and I've used it a few times before. Great base. Don't use flimsy bark. Don't try and use leaves. Use something solid so it gives you a nice solid place to work off of. Today I'm just going to be lighting up some cotton pads. All right. As with our tinders, we always want them to be fine, hair-like, and easily aerated, which means we can get them nice and fluffy like that, right? A lot of times you can use the back of your knife to strike your Firesteel. When I do it, I place my Firesteel right on my tinder. Not off to the side, not up in the air, not trying to catch sparks all over. I know my sparks are going to hit it right there. I'm going to use my thumb, press it down, right, it lights up. Pretty easy. Once again, just going to hold my 90-degree edge on my Firesteel, and as you can see, the end of my Firesteel isn't all beat up. That's because I usually stop about right here because I don't want to put out my tinder. So that's with the back edge of a knife. Now, I know this has been covered before, but you can also use something you find out in nature. If you've lost your knife or you're using an improvised knife or something like that, you can use a piece of flint. So once again, I'm going to place my tinder there. I'm going to use that. Big Sky Trapper did a video on that one time, but I saw it go over it. In this area, there's really not a whole lot of flint. But what we do have is quartz, and it's the same principle, right? I've got a sharp piece of rock here that I put on there, and I use that to light it. Real easy. All I did was break off a little piece of that and used it. I carry a Tomahawk every once in a while, and this is a cold steel trail hawk, and I've taken and I've filed a 90-degree edge on the back of my hawk. Now, I don't put that little Allen nut in it too because I like to use this for chiseling and doing some other stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that. Once again, whatever you have that you plan on using, be sure you practice with it. If you don't carry a hawk, if you're a saw guy, the saw blade has a nice 90-degree edge on it. So I've got this little Gerber saw right here, a Fisker's saw. All right, once again, I'm going to place that right there, give her a scrape, and I've got her going. If for some reason you don't have any of that, here's something else you can use. Sharpening steel, right? All this is a flat piece of steel that has diamond grit on both sides of it. So I can place that on there, find myself a nice edge on there to work with, scrape it, and lights. That don't trip your trigger, none of that does. My favorite, absolute way to use a metal match is with the awl of a pocket knife. Right? This is an old Boy Scout model that I've had since I was a kid. It has an awl on it. Also good for drilling holes and some other stuff that we'll talk about some other time. This here's US knife. I did a video on the US knife and the awl on how to use this. Right? And one that a lot of people carry is a Swiss Army Farmer. And we will go over how to do that. When we do this, if you can see the edge on that, see how it's not really, it's like a chisel edge almost, and that's meant because when you twist it, it gouges out the material. So that's what we're going to use that to our advantage, and take our Firesteel and place that edge right on there. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to carve off big chunks of your Firesteel, which will jack up your Firesteel eventually but it's going to help you get a fire going. Alright, so I place my metal match down, my Firesteel. You see that big shower of sparks? See how I'm holding it? I'm not holding it 90, right? I'm holding it like I'm carving on it. That's what's going to give you the shower of sparks. It's really going to be important, especially in a hardwoods environment. Out here, we don't have the birch bark, we don't have the fat wood, we don't have the, the resinous trees. What we have is basically grasses that get real damp, we have barks that get damp, so it takes a hot spark to get these going sometimes. So I hope that helps you out. Pretty basic stuff, but I hope it helps a few people out when they're trying to use their new Firesteels.